James is the brother of Jesus, and if he is the brother of James, then he is likely also Jesus' brother. And because we know Jesus is Jewish, he is likely also Jewish. See? Now it sounds simple and silly, but these facts build upon each other, right? And it helps you, thank you, Lorna, better understand the context of what you're reading, okay? So those are the exercises we're going to be running through as part of this class. And tonight, the reading we're going to do, could you move that forward for me, please, Dennis? This isn't working for some reason. Is what I call, or what is called, the mood reading. Mood or atmosphere. And if we can get to more readings, praise God. We're going to try to get through as many readings tonight as we can so I can cram in as much information as I can to you, okay? So, what do you look for in a mood reading, okay? The goal is to find out what emotions the author is trying to convey to the audience. Now, how do you do a mood reading? Well, previously, when we learned about the literature, what's an interesting thing we learned about these letters? What was something distinct from these letters that we didn't hear about any of the other literature? How are they read? Anyone remember? They're meant to be read out loud because they're delivered to the church because not everyone could read, right? So a courier would get the letter and it would be read out loud to the congregation. So as part of this mood reading, we want to read it out loud. And we want to do an emotive reading if we can, which means as we read it out loud, we want to communicate the emotion that might be in the text. Okay? And then we note down what we thought about the mood, and we justify that by referencing those scriptures in our notes. Can you go to the next slide, Dennis? I'll give you an example of a mood reading. The first example is Romans 1, 8 through 14. I know the text is a little small. First, I thank my God through Jesus Christ for all of you, because your faith is proclaimed in all the world, for God is my witness, whom I serve in my spirit in the gospel of his Son, that without ceasing I mention you always in my prayers, asking that somehow by God's will I may now at last succeed in coming to you. For I long to see you, that I may impart to you some spiritual gift to strengthen you. That is, that we may mutually encourage each other's faith, both yours and mine. I do not want you to be unaware, brothers, that I have often intended to come to you, but thus far have been prevented, in order that I may reap some harvest among you, as well as among the rest of the Gentiles. Do you think Paul would be pretty happy to see them? Right? It seems like a very uplifting mood, right? Now let's take a contrast of that. Galatians 3, verses 1 to 3. O foolish Galatians, who has bewitched you? It was before your eyes that Jesus Christ was publicly portrayed as crucified. Let me ask you only this. Did you receive the Spirit by the works of the law or by hearing with faith? Are you so foolish? Have you begun by the Spirit? Are you now being perfected by the flesh? Oh man, I think I cut that off. I meant to cut it off there. Have you now been perfected by the flesh? So what mood would you say the author has there? Pretty mad, right? Not very happy. So what we're going to do as the first exercise is read through 3 John. We'll give it like 5 minutes, okay? Then take your notes on what you think the mood is. Then I'm going to have someone come up and read it, and we'll share our notes. Sound good? Okay? That's what we're going to do. So I will give you 5 minutes starting now. All right, pencils down. Okay. Now, I mean, I'm running this in 5 minutes because it's a class and we want to get to things. If you want to take longer, you can. But one of the general rules of doing a mood and atmosphere reading is not to think about it much because you're trying to catch the inflection and the emotion, right? You want to read it quickly. How does it impress upon you, okay? Just out of curiosity, just for my own nerdy notes, is there anyone here, I'm using an ESV. What other translations are folks using tonight? New King James. Anything else? NIV. New King James. New American Standard. Anything else? Oh, you're using the Lexham? Okay. Okay, anything else? Okay, that's good. What's one of the things that we might find interesting as we do these readings is some of those differences in the translation philosophies we talked about, remember? Because there's some that are word for word and some that are thought for thought, right? And right now we have a scale of word for word and thought for thought translations people are using, so it should be interesting. All right, does anyone, I know it's a little weird, does anyone want to come up and try to read 3 John with, emotively? Would anyone like to try to perform 3 John? It's okay if you don't want to. I know it's weird. I'll do it if you don't want to. Huh? Okay. Well, let me to get through to the next reading, let me read through it then, okay? Is that all right? Okay. Do it together? Okay, yeah, sure. All right, let's do it. Sure. For a guy who works in AV, I never think to hand out wireless
I have
mics.
AV. You can run. Go ahead.
Oh,
There you go.
I thought you were going to do it. Okay, you
I can
ready?
do it.
All right. We're going to share.
Yeah, you go.
Oh, all right. The elder, to my dear friend Gaius, whom I love in the truth. Dear friend, I pray that you may enjoy good health and that all may go well with you, even as your soul is getting along well. It gave me great joy when some believers came and testified about your faithfulness to the truth, telling how you continue to walk in it. I have no greater joy than to hear my children are walking in the truth. Dear friend, you are faithful in what you are doing for the brothers and sisters, even though they are strangers to you. They have told the church about your love. Please send them on their way in a manner that honors God. It was for the sake of the name that they went out, receiving no help from the pagans. We ought, therefore, to show hospitality to such people so that we may work together for the truth. I wrote to the church, but Diotrephes, who loves to be first, will not welcome us. So when I come, I will call attention to what he is doing, spreading malicious nonsense about us. Not satisfied with that, he even refuses to welcome other believers. He also stops those who want to do so and puts them out of the church. Dear friend, do not imitate what is evil, but what is good. Anyone who does what is good is from God. Anyone who does what is evil has not seen God. Demetrius is well spoken of by everyone, and even by the truth itself. We also speak well of him, and you know that our testimony is true. I have much to write you, but I do not want to do so with pen and ink. I hope to see you soon and we will talk face to face. Peace to you. The friends here send their greetings. Greet the friends there by name.
Thank you. Let me guess, that's an NIV. Yeah, got it. All right, cool. So now, someone want to volunteer what they sort of felt as the mood of that, and then what verse you put down to justify that? And Frank, go ahead, Frank.
Verse 1 through 5, strongly encouraging, uplifting, and joyful.
Great. What words is it? So is that implied or is that stated somewhere?
Verse 5, I'm sorry, not verse 5, verse 4, I have no greater joy than this, that I hear my
What did they say?
Great. Well, oh, I should pass the mic. I'm sorry. Someone had. All right. So Frank referenced, I now need to turn on. Frank referenced verse 5 and saying the letter had a joyful tone about it because verse 5 references the author saying he takes joy in seeing the spiritual growth of his children, to paraphrase. Anyone else? Any other thoughts or emotion? Go ahead, Dave. Does someone want to? Okay, thank you.
So I kind of went through and did like almost an emotion for each verse, but I'll just go to verses 9 and 10. Verse
Sure.
9 I thought was a downer, and verse 10 I thought was mean.
And so explain that.
So it says, where am I here? Verse 9 says, I wrote to the church, but Diotrephes, who loves to have the preeminence among them, does not receive us. So to me, that's kind of a downer, right? And then next he says, therefore, if I come, I will call to mind his deeds which he does, prating against us with malicious words, and not content with that, he himself does not receive the brethren and forbids those who wish putting them out of the church. So to me, he's a mean person, right? He
Who
wants-
is the author or
No,
Diotrephes?
Diotrephes.
Diotrephes. Okay. So so what mood do you think the author's trying to convey to his beloved friend Gaius? Don't be like Diotrephes. Don't follow Diotrephes. He's a bad dude. Anything else that doesn't, and you don't have to do one for every verse. That's the whole point with reading it as a whole. That's why we use it in a very small book. Go ahead, Dennis. And don't be surprised if everyone said the same thing, because God is not a God of confusion. He's a God in order. So as everyone thought it was a pretty joyful letter, except this one thing about this guy who seems to be causing problems, that's because it's what it says, right? There's no great mystery to it. Go ahead, Dennis.
I think the tone that I got out of the mood was resolved,
Okay.
especially given that he begins this short letter with describing himself as elder, whether that means older or he's actually in the office. I think
Okay.
that plays into, in my mind, a little bit to his tone. He's resolved. He's, not that he's figured it all out, but he's able to deal with Diotrephes, and at the same time have this confidence and joy that the church is doing well.
Oh, that's a good insight, yeah. And you're referencing that directly from verse 1:1. That's implied, but there's good reason to apply it, right? Because we know what elder is. All right, so that's good. That's an example, right? We did a mood and atmosphere reading. I'd like to move on now for the next, 15 minutes or so, to what's called an audience reading. An author reading. If we read through one time, looking at elements of the mood, when we read through it again, what do you think we're going to look at this time? We're going to look at the author, right? So if you want to keep flipping, I'm doing multiple weeks at a time because this one's a short reading. So go ahead. Just a reminder to take your notes. Author and audience reading. We'll probably just get the author tonight, okay? But the goal of this reading is to create a profile of both the author of the writing and its addressed audience, okay? Now this goes to the rule about the Bible, that the Bible wasn't written to you, it was written for you, right? But it was written to these people, right? So we're going to get a profile of the author in the audience. What do we want to examine in this reading with the text? Okay? We want to ask ourselves about the author. Who, what, when, where, why? You know, what does the text say about the author? What does the author say about himself? What can we, as Dennis just did, imply about the author, right? An elder, does that mean he's an old guy? Does that mean he's in that office? And you can put down as a note a question mark. I don't know. You can put down both, say, he is either an older gentleman, right? Or he has some authority in the church in the office of elder. Now, one of the things we're going to go through in the week is looking at something called introductory background material, which will help us solidify those questions. But right now, the goal is to pull out of the text to exegete your questions, your impressions, right? So we're going to read through this time, and just like before, read it all the way through, put down your notes, reference your verses, but this time you're going to look at what the text says about the author of 3 John, okay? So was 5 minutes a good amount of time? Was it too short? Was it too long? Just right? Then we'll do 5 minutes again. Does that sound okay? All right, thank you. We'll start it now. right. Pencils down. Okay. So, same questions, but about the author. Did anyone, what did people write down for their observations about the author? Go ahead, Barry. Oh, yeah, the mic. I gotta find a way to install mics from the ceiling.
Well, the first word, 2 words, the elder.
Yeah,
It's telling me he's married. He's got
Okay.
kids. He's in good, got the qualifications of a leader.
okay.
Yeah, that's enough for now. But
So is it stated directly
no,
that, okay, so you would put implied.
implied.
Yeah, great, all right. And then you would look up, you
Go
know.
back for the qualification.
Yeah, okay. Anyone else? Anything else? Oh, go ahead. Sorry, the mic's coming.
So I thought the same thing, that he was an elder, so he's been around long enough to know stuff. So usually, and then I thought he's a teacher,
Okay,
because, and that's implied.
that's implied, yeah,
That's implied.
okay. Go ahead, Dennis. Oh, online, there's a question. Go ahead, online.
Yeah, I thought he was a very, very brave and honest and a wonderful encourager.
Okay. What verse are you referencing to cite that?
The brave was 9 and 10,
Okay, 9 and 10. Okay.
and encouraging 5 and 6.
I'm sorry, can you say those last ones again?
5 and 6.
5 and 6, thank you. Okay, so 9 and 10 is him showing bravery? Is that the idea?
Yeah,
Okay. And then 5 and 6 is what?
encouraging.
Encouraging, thank you. Right, yeah, good. Anything else, anyone else? Go ahead, Amy.
I have a question. Maybe this is stupid, but
There's no dumb
at
questions.
at the very beginning it says the elder. Is he the elder or is Gaius the elder?
He is the elder.
Okay.
That's okay. The elder, how do we know it is the elder who the author is? There's a key word. Two. Yep, yeah. The elder to Gaius.
Okay. Because the way it's written with the comma, I wasn't sure. So
Oh, you have a comma there.
I do.
I don't.
I have a comma.
Okay, what translation are you using?
NIV.
Okay, so that's the easier to read version. So they might add punctuation that might not be directly word for word. Okay?
Okay. So another thing that I noticed, he talks about the truth.
Yes,
So he is very concerned about the truth. And,
good.
Just very focused on making sure that the truth is being followed.
Great. Go ahead, Paul. Sorry. No, so there's no punctuation in the more word for word. But NIV, it's the easier to read. Yeah. Go ahead, Brent.
I think he's not afraid to express his love.
Okay.
I mean, he calls Gaius beloved 3 times, I think, and I think that checks out. If John was loved by love himself in the flesh, he would know a little bit about love.
Okay. How do we know it's John?
Assumption on my part.
Yeah, we don't know yet. If we're just reading the text, we don't know yet, right? Now, we know it's John because the scholars and stuff, they verify this is the name. But when we dig in, right, part of what you read through introductory background material is who is the author, So, for example, the book of Jude, there's people who dispute who Jude is. Is it James's brother, as in James, the the essentially elder of the Jerusalem church, or is it another James mentioned in the Gospels? Do you know what I mean? Most think it's Jude, James's brother, the elder of the Jerusalem church. But that's the stuff we read. But very good. One thing I noticed, Amy, is what you had said. He has a high value on truth. And in fact, I noted down verse 3 and verse 4, he uses a phrase. He uses the same phrase over again, and he says, walking in the truth. He uses it twice. And then, verse 7 to 8, when he talks about the missionaries who went out, right? They're going out, they're traveling. Verse 8, he calls them fellow workers in the truth, right? And then verse 12, he talks about Demetrius, and he mentions truth twice. Demetrius has received a good testimony from everyone and from the truth itself. We also add our testimony, and you know that our testimony is true. So again, big emphasis on the truth. Now, if I was going to preach 3 John, right, one of the things I might look at as a point is that phrase, walking in the truth. What does he mean when he says walking in the truth, right? Now, I may not have, I can read this through carefully, keep looking at the angles, and imply what he might mean, but then I can also look at cross-references elsewhere in the New Testament that use that phrase and see if it's attributed to the same author and if he expands on the meaning. Then bring that back into the sermon, right? Back into the teaching. So, but you don't get that until you, what? You pull it out of the text. You're pulling it out. Anything else? Go ahead, Vaughn. Can we get the mic for Vaughn, please?
I'll try to hit things I think weren't mentioned yet.
Sure.
He prays.
Mm.
That's in verse 2, stated in verse 2.
Okay, yeah.
In verse 3, it's implied that he's attached to them.
Yep.
And verse 4, I believe when he says, my children, I believe that's implied that he's the one that converted them.
I think there's a strong argument for that.
You know. In verse 8, as it's stated, he believes in cooperation. He talks about fellow workers.
Mm.
In verse 10, it's stated that this is his second letter, so he wrote before. So this is, doesn't say it's the second one, but he wrote before, so this is the second one. Verse 10, I think that's something to study, but I think it implies authority. He doesn't just say that Demetrius and I have 2 opinions on something.
Yeah, he says he's going to call him out.
Yeah, I think authority is implied there. And verses 13 and 14, he desires to see them in person.
Great. All right, fantastic, right? So we did a quick author profile. So if you were to take everything we just said about the author and summarize who this author was in one or two sentences, what would you say about them? Even if you're using your implied, right? Because you'll write down your statement, and some of it might be stuff that's not directly stated, but you're going to verify, right, the best of your ability. But give me a 2 or 3 sentence description of the author. If anyone, I would give you mine. I would say, I believe he's an elder of the church who cares deeply about the truth and the truth going out to other believers, and that believers should work together, not for their own glory, but to make sure the truth is proclaimed amongst all people. And he will do what he needs to make sure that happens. That would be my summary of this author. Anyone else have anything they'd like to add or anything different? Oh, go ahead, Dennis. I'm sorry?
Can you address the false idea that comes out of verse 2?
The false idea. Beloved, I pray that all may go well with you and that you may be in good health as it goes well with your soul. What do you mean by false idea?
So the prosperity preachers will use this verse
Yes.
to justify the idea of you should be in prosperity. God wants you to live in prosperity. And it's a false idea, but that's where they pull it from.
I 100% agree. How come we didn't pick up on it? Because we've read it in context. That's why. That's the magic. That's the magic of reading it all at once in context. If you read it all, you would be like, how in the world do you come up with that? Right? That's called eisegesis. That's the example. Thank you, Dennis. So what happens with eisegesis is there's something you want to say, and you're going to take what you want to say and cram it into any verse that might fit it. Now, there's a number of ways this is done. These are called exegetical fallacies, like the means by which you do this. That's something called the word fallacy. We're not going to get into exegetical fallacies, but the word fallacy is when you see a word that's sort of related to what you want to say, and then you make it say that regardless. Okay? But very good. Yeah, so that is an example of eisegesis and exegesis, because none of us got health and wealth prosperity gospel from our readings, did we? It's because it's not there. You know what I mean? So, very good, very good. This was good. Sorry I'm a minute over. Any other, go ahead, Vaughn.
I just wanted to say, I think when you read verse 2, your version didn't have the word prosper. Maybe
No.
that's- The New American Standard has the word prosper in there, just to,
Sure.
Mention
So read all of it so we can hear the difference.
it says, Beloved, I pray that in all respects you may prosper and be in good health, just as your soul prospers.
Great. Okay. Now, here's the thing to ask. Is that prescriptive or is that descriptive?
It's descriptive.
Right. So is this giving you a solution for how you ought to pray to God for health and wealth? No.
The last two words are your soul prospers.
Your soul prospers. Yes.
And then he says that you prosper and be in good health. And he says nothing about money.
Yeah, then, right. So to this guy, what is prosperity? For a guy who's focused on the truth, so much so that he wants to travel to tell some guy to stop stopping missionaries, what do you think his sense of prosperity might be? Do you think it's monetary or something else? It's probably something else. He's probably not trying to bank dough, but bank souls. You know what I mean? So, there you go. But again, we didn't get that from there, and that's why you read it yourself. And that's why you would read it yourself and go through this exercise, if you have the time, you don't always, even before going to a commentary. We should enjoy reading it and going through it. It's like being a detective. Anyone like detective movies or novels or trying to figure out a puzzle? It's fun. I think it's fun. Maybe I'm a big nerd, right? But it's something the Word was preserved to us to do this with. Right? We should do it. So any other questions, comments? All right, I'll pray. Go ahead. Vaughn's on a roll. Let's go.
You mentioned commentary several times, so I got to tell you about this guy who visited a preacher, and he was amazed by all the commentaries he had in his office. And the preacher said, the Bible sheds a lot of light on those books.
Yeah, right? Yeah. And again, I'm not dissing commentaries. We'll get there and we'll talk about it. Go ahead, Dennis. Oh, online. Go ahead, online.
Sorry, I just forgot to shut off the hand.
Okay, sorry. All right, anything else? Good, Vaughn? All right, so let's close in prayer. Thank you.